I'm Jess. That's Broke Boy Bray.
Yep.
And this is the third episode of Four Ropes Full Podcast. Now, before we begin, Bray John, I low key just want to point out something that, last week, last week on Raw, we seen something I didn't think WWE was gonna pull off. We seen Jey Uso win his first singles world championship. And I just feel like when you brought this up, I really had to think to myself, are we really finna sit here and see this? So I want to get into the first topic of being. Let's talk, is Jey Uso the modern day Jeff Hardy? Like, what are your full thoughts on that though?
My full opinions are, as it stands right now, no. But we're also going to have to see because we cannot just judge off a title win. So my reason for saying that is, as we were talking about earlier before the podcast started, Jeff Hardy wasn't just known to just wrestler and wrestling fans. At his peak, he was kind of an icon. To this day, he still is referenced by like major artists like Playboi Carti, uh, Trippie Redd, Lil Uzi. These guys know who Jeff Hardy is. They take inspiration from Hardy. We take inspiration from Jeff Hardy as black men. Like, Hardy was able to do something that a lot of people can do, and that's transit genres. Because he was able to step outside of wrestling and still be known for what he does. Because, like I said, a lot of people know who Jeff Hardy is that have never watched wrestling before.
Agreed.
So this is going to have to be one of those situations where we have to see how this title reign pans out. Because I don't want to say he can't. He could very much be this generation's Jeff. But at this time, we do not know, nor do we have that information available. So this is going to have to be one of those situations where we wait and see how the title run pans out and what they do with him going forward.
You know, I just think to myself, Jey Uso is over than a motherfucker. But I don't hear it too much outside of the rap game or like Jeff Hardy, like when he was on fire, that nigga was on fire. You heard him in almost every rap lyric. Like everybody fucked with Jeff Hardy. Niggas who was rapping was like, oh, do you fuck with WWE and shit like that? Oh yeah, I fuck with wrestling. Who your favorite wrestler? Oh, that nigga that do the swanton, Jeff Hardy. He was over in that realm.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that if we really look at it, Jey Uso is over, but he is only over in wrestling.
And that's kind of another reason I said it's going to have to be one of those situations where we wait, because only time will tell in a situation like this as we keep going in the future. Like, will we see more people starting to shout out Jey music and everything? It's going to have to be one of those situations where we cannot judge it at the face it currently is, just because Jey has only been over for about a year's time. When Jeff, up at the point where he hit his peak in 2008, 2009, had two other peaks prior to that in 2004 and in 2001?
I think so. But you know what? Here's the reason why I won't say this, why I won't say that right now. Because I want to look up something. I got the laptop out today, y'all. So I want to look up Jeff Hardy's championship win. I want to see how many people looked up that. Let me see. Where is that?
Oh, I know that video got a lot of views.
From the official WWE page. Jeff Hardy's championship entrance. And this was the start, this was like the start of the show. You
This
remember that celebration?
That was it. This was like that first Friday night SmackDown right after Armageddon 08,
Yes.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes, you
How
remember
many
that.
views?
6.9 million.
Okay. So,
Now, I'm saying wrestling has been getting more interesting again.
mm-hmm.
So, you got more eyes on the product. If that surpasses this, I'm not saying he goes in that category, but we can discuss it a little bit more because that means more people was intrigued to see Jay get his big moment.
Mm-hmm.
Jey Uso stepping out of the tag team realm, becoming a world champion. Now, not world champion like he's the
But
WWE
getting a
or world
solo,
heavyweight,
a single title.
but hell, heavyweight, intercontinental. It's just y'all. It's literally just another word. It's just another escape of using world. You intercontinental.
Especially with, him being predominantly a tag team guy too. That is a huge look because it was just like Jeff. Jeff had been predominantly looked at as the, tag team guy. It was him and his brother. They were known for the tag team TLC matches. But here's where I feel like Jeff and Jay have their differences. Jeff was always the standout up until the bloodline. Could you really tell the difference between Jimmy and Jay, especially with their ring work prior to the bloodline?
That's a good ass take.
And see, that was what I was talking about with Sav. I was like, and that's kind of why I'm like, I don't see him being as big as Jeff because even Jeff, when he was still in the tag team scene, Jeff was getting looks like, oh, who is this crazy white boy jumping off shit, doing all these crazy moves, throwing his body at harm. And it was like the Usos, they were known just for like being the tag team guys and having the tag team titles. And this kind of also goes back, well, actually, the point I was going to argue was, the brother versus brother matches because I was going to say, obviously we saw Jay versus Jimmy at this most recent WrestleMania, and the match wasn't really received too well. But the same thing goes for Jeff versus Matt at WrestleMania 25. The match was not received very well, but they made their match up with the Backlash match. So, like I said, it's kind of going to be one of those situations where we're going to have to wait and see how things kind of pan out for Jay because Jay could very much make this title run worth it. And I think I'm just being a little salty just because Braun Breaker was a filler champion. And maybe I'm just a little salty about that.
Here's the thing, though. It's obvious and evident that Braun Breaker is gonna get this belt back. It just depends on how long WWE is gonna push him.
And that was also what I was gonna say because I'm like now they put Braun in this weird situation because you don't want him to take the world heavyweight title from Gunther, but it's also like you don't want him to start this long going throwing the title back and forth between him and Jay for the Intercontinental Champion. So you kind of throw Braun at this weird spot where it's like now what do we do with Braun? Because obviously they want to push Braun to the moon. But in order to do that, they're going to have a title around him, and they just took the title away from him. So do we throw him in a feud with Jay and have him go back and forth for the Intercontinental Championship?
I wouldn't
Do we
say
have
that.
him go after Gunther? It's too early to go after Gunther.
It is, but at the same time, if you tease that even a little bit, fans are gonna eat that up
And that's
until
what I'm
they get
saying.
it.
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm kind of upset they made him drop the title because now you got people already thinking that like, oh, he's not Intercontinental Champion anymore. All right, that start pushing this Breaker versus Gunther match.
But
And
here's
it's
the thing: just because you push it does not mean you automatically have to have it happen. They've been pushing Seth Rollins and CM Punk not liking each other for the longest. That real anger of CM Punk being back and Seth Rollins being that pissed off, that was not fake.
I
That
told you
that was
that
that
was genuine.
that was genuine anger for seeing that man, hearing that man's music play over his moment. It might not have been his music playing, but it was his moment of yeah. I competed in every single stipulation match, damn near. I didn't competed in every stipulation.
And less of that, and more of I stayed with this company through thick and thin. I stayed here while you went to the opposition, talked mad shit, left, and now you're trying to come back and save face. That was what Seth said. From what I've heard, is that was Seth's whole thing. It was like, you're not gonna come back after disrespecting this company while you left it at a dry time when we needed you. You left it because you couldn't handle it.
Uh, I won't say that.
But I was gonna say, but Punk had his reasons for leaving.
I was gonna say because
But
I
that's
see
how
what you're
Seth.
saying
I would
though.
say that's how Seth views it.
Okay, okay.
I would say that's how Seth views it. No, Punk had his reasons for leaving, and anybody in under Punk's situation would have left.
Okay.
But from the way that Rollins sees it, is that you couldn't handle it, so you left. While I stayed and struggled and went through hell and back to make sure this company went through thick and thin, then you immediately jump over to the opposition and start thrashing on us for 2 years. Then once everything doesn't work out over there, you're coming back over here now trying to act like you just didn't talk shit. So that's a lot. That's a lot of where that beef comes from too. It's not like they don't like. They actually don't like each other. They actually do have a genuine beef that spawned way before that whole situation. But that kind of really re-sparked it for Seth. Was like, I already don't like the guy. He had mentioned that he didn't like the guy and the idea of him coming back to WWE prior to him coming back, and it's like Seth exploded. Simple as that. And like I said, anybody logically would explode after that.
I just want to see something right now. I just want to see what Jey Uso T-shirt sales are.
I I haven't even seen a tweet in a while about that, but I don't remember where he was. I don't think he was like top 10 or anything. Because are you just gonna look up for WWE or like globally?
Just WWE.
I'm kind of curious on what the sales figures are looking like for that too.
It just sucks because it don't look like shit is recent. Shit, June.
Would
That's
you want to be a good
December.
talent still? Because we probably won't get the next big numbers until after like Bad Blood. So I would say like June will probably be a good telling because they're probably about the same from June. Nothing's really changed about them. You can obviously throw in Roman being like in the top five.
Yeah, nah. So this is from Ringside News.
Love this source.
So as they say an important aspect of measure this to measure the success and popularity of a WWE superstar is by the sales of their merchandise. Having said that, WWE Shop experienced notable sales in its apparel category for the month of May. According to them, they said the best in the world, CM Punk, was a standout, becoming a top seller for the month. Despite being on the injury list, main event Jey Uso closely followed, driven by the strong reception to his entrance, which has now also acquired the famous Bray Wyatt flyer flies as well. So basically, he was number two.
So we can assume that he's probably still top 10 for the company as of this point for merch sales.
It's safe to say that he is top 10. It's safe to also say that for an entire month, he sold more than your WWE champion and your world heavyweight champion. And I
Which, I mean, at that time would have just been Damian Priest. I mean,
love Damian Priest, but I mean,
have you seen his merch?
that shit made for emo niggas. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, that shit made
Look,
for
bro, I look and I love me some good emo merch. I do. I love me some good emo merch, but
like
that
check out
that wasn't it.
like check out my boy today. Like check out the fit. Like that's tough. But like Damian Priest shit, like you can't mix that shit with any outfits for real, for real. Purple, orange, fire, background,
It's
backdrop.
too many colors.
Like it just
And
looks
colors
too
that
dark.
definitely don't mix together.
It's just too much shit that like it doesn't make sense. In the wrestling world, sure. If you're a wrestling fan, sure, but outside the culture, you're not wearing that shirt. I could find 5 Jeff Hardy shirts that I could go crazy with an outfit. I didn't found the Undertaker shirt that I didn't make fire with some fours. Damian Priest outfits is not something I can get fire in. Not even Rhea's. I fuck with Jay. I can't get that off. Like, congratulations. Like, I fuck with you. I love it. I love the merch. I just can't wear it with a fit. To a wrestling show, 100% support you. But in the streets, I can't wear your shirt. I can't. But then again, I mean, I can't say. I can say that for anybody. I can't wear a John Cena shirt out. I can't make that fit look tough.
I saw this one recently. I'm like, nah, I can make that shit look hard.
I don't think I could. I don't think I
It
know the
was
right shit to put
one.
together.
It's that little black joint he had when he came back and talked about the retirement speech. It was that little joint. I'm like, just because it's like so simplistic, it's nothing crazy. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, especially with, I feel like when you trying to mix wrestling merch pieces, is you have to choose the most simplistic pieces. So like, if you've ever noticed my Instagram profile picture, me and Sav have matching "I'm Your Mommy" and "I'm Your Poppy" shirts because they actually kind of, you're not really gonna know that's a wrestling thing unless you watch wrestling. But it's like also like it could still be a casual shirt that's just worn. So it's like, especially with wrestling merch, they don't like it to be casual. They want it to be in your face, like this is wrestling. So it's kind of harder in that aspect. So I can definitely understand what you mean there.
It's like certain shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Like when John Cena started like putting a little cartoony face and shit like that. When he start putting that shit in the middle of it and then just start making it colors for kids, now I get WWE was going for a kid friendly product. I don't care about none of that. I promise you I don't give a fuck. My problem with it is that everybody said WWE was drowning and we needed competition. A good amount of y'all turned y'all back on WWE and went to TNA. Now, granted, I was one of them people who flip flopped around TNA and WWE sometimes because sometimes TNA low key had the better week.
Yeah, it wasn't mine.
I was going to say. Anywho, so just like WWE, WWE was going for a more kid friendlier content. But some of the shit that we were supposed to believe is crazy. We supposed to believe John Cena could take on 7 young niggas.
I don't want to talk about the NXT Nexus arc. I don't.
Like, let's just make that clear. I love John Cena. When he finally retires, he's going on that Mount Rushmore. Granted, it's gonna piss me off that Hulk Hogan's on that list or gonna be on that statue. It's gonna piss me off
We ain't got no choice but to put him up there though.
because it's gonna be different categories, like the best like WWE champion, the best WWE
But
World
like an
Heavyweight
overall,
Champion. But
with
like we're talking about GOAT
I was like, if
status.
it was like an overall four, it's gonna be Hulk Hogan, it's gonna be Cena.
It's Cena, it's Hogan, it's Undertaker. But who takes that? How many presidents is on the monument? Is it 4 or
Four.
5?
It's
Yeah,
four.
4. It's gonna have to be one more. And if we're saving that spot for the future, I don't know who's even close to getting that.
I think the only person like for real currently would probably be Roman.
Very true.
If we gonna be like dead ass serious, the only person that's close to it, and even then he's still not deserving of it as of yet, is gonna be Roman. Just because 1,300 days as champion, and you did the majority of that almost going unpinned. You got pinned in the last year of it, and not even in a title match. So it's like
He would have if he didn't, you know, if he didn't get fucked. If Jey Uso didn't get fucked by Jimmy. I'm just gonna say that. Even though, I got half of my head red, shout out to, the tribal Uso. Miss seeing you on SmackDown though. SmackDown just ain't funny no more. I ain't gonna lie to you. SmackDown not funny at all. Like I get, we supposed to be having, serious best talent in the world, shit like that. But hell, sometimes you need somebody who's funny. And Raw got R-Truth. I don't give a fuck what R-Truth could be doing. R-Truth could be out there tap dancing. People still gonna find it funny and hilarious because it's just R-Truth just being naturally funny and using what he's doing to get over with the crowd. Can we just make one thing clear? John Cena might have beat R-Truth at what was the Capital Punishment?
Mm-hmm.
He might have beat R-Truth, but R-Truth went over with Little Jimmy for 2 years.
That was a time right there. I mean, honestly, he was over before that too. When he was doing the "What's Up" chant, when he was
He was.
going through the crowd, I feel like he was super over during that time when he was on SmackDown.
Yeah, he was. He got some credit for it,
He was super over.
but it's just like if I remember this correctly, I remember that when I remember first watching his match.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what made me believe that he could low key be a world champion with the right character building.
Oh, if they would have built him right when he was younger, he definitely could have. If not a world champion, definitely a upper mid card talent. Because I always liked R-Truth as a kid. Like it wasn't just his rap. It was I'm like he actually has some really dope wrestling moves.
R-Truth being one of the most exciting people on the show sounds crazy to believe until you really think that R-Truth was around for the ruthless aggression era. Kinda. He was like at the end of it,
Very yeah, I was like telling.
like the very end of it.
Oh, you mean attitude?
Yeah, Attitude Era. He was part of Attitude Era. As K Quick. Now he didn't get over a lot, but he got that experience. He went to TNA, became Ron the Truth Killings. Some of his best work for WWE to pick him up again. Like, you know what? I'm gonna give you another chance. Now, granted, the man who gave him another chance, we kind of iffy about. We're gonna talk about that on the next episode. We're gonna talk about that shit because Bray John's seen it. I've only seen clips of it. I want to make sure I watch it all the way just so I can give my full, honest opinion. I can't just piggyback off of what Bray John say. His opinion is his opinion. If I watch some of it, I might not agree, but 9 times out of 10, I know I'm gonna agree. But I'm still gonna give it the benefit of the doubt and watch it myself. So next episode, we're gonna talk about that a lot. But we skipped off track a little bit because we went from Jey Uso to R-Truth. So I actually want to get into favorite up and coming wrestlers. Now we can talk AEW, we can talk NXT, we can talk Ring of Honor, we can talk about whatever.
Okay, so I'm gonna give one from each brand except for Ring of Honor. So starting off with WWE, I think my favorite up and comer. He's still, I think we can consider him still up and coming, even though he's main roster. Carmelo Hayes. I mean, NXT days, he already proved himself. But I feel like ever since the draft and this whole feud with Andrade, like it's been nothing but straight banging wrestling. I know I mentioned that in the first episode, but it is quite impressive that we're seeing this consistent wrestling too. It's not like they're just going out there just giving us whatever matches. Like they're going out there giving their all in these matches. This is a genuine feud, and I'm kind of curious like how much more it's gonna go.
Since I think we just might as well just pass it off back and forth, I'm gonna actually give y'all one for Ring of Honor.
Mm.
Now I don't watch much of it always, but when I catch some highlights, so I do get a chance to actually catch a stream. Billy Starks. Now, Bray John, do you know who that is? Billy
I think
Starks?
I've heard the name.
Okay, so Billy Starks is like she started out as this cheer me up she came like she was like Bailey minus the hugging part.
Okay.
That's how I can best describe her. Like she was like okay, now it's gonna sound crazy when I say this, so you're gonna have to I'm not saying it all the way, but like she was like the Cinderella story. Like everybody wanted her to be world champion and shit like that. But she got to beefing with Athena. Do you know who Athena is?
I know who Athena
Okay,
is.
okay. So yeah, so Athena ends up, making her this little minion thing, like she trying to bring out the little dark side of her and shit like that. Like she don't want this little like prissy, quirky ass girl
Mm-hmm.
around. So they become friends and shit like that, make like come in as a mentor and shit, and then they bring this ring announcer female into it. It's crazy as hell. But it was good content, personally. So I so I guess, Athena just keep pushing her and pushing her and pushing her. She go mad, and they had this championship match, and then Athena retains the title. But then she immediately forgives this woman. Like she immediately forgives her. Like after all the torment and all this other shit, she immediately just went back to this woman.
Okay.
But I'm getting to a point. I promise you. It sounds crazy, but
No,
I'm getting
no,
to a point.
no. Keep going. I get it. I get it.
So then, if I'm remembering it correctly, she gets into the tournament for the first ever Ring of Honor Women's Television Championship. She wins. She wins it. She's the first ever. She might not have, and I just think to myself, she might not have beat Athena, but she had the experience in the ring to get in there and learn and train and get in with one of the best Ring of Honor Women's Champions. Hell, you might as well say the best, the best Ring of Honor champion, because she passed Samoa Joe. So congratulations to her. She's the longest reigning world champion in the company's history. It was a lot of talent that came through that did not break records. Samoa Joe had it for the longest. Athena just broke that.
I was saying Jill had that motherfucker for a grip.
So it's just saying, like, the women's work in Ring of Honor is getting some good attention. Like this Queen Amaniti woman and shit like that. I swear I hope I'm saying her name right. But the way she wrestle and shit like that, and like the way she got a like her voice like can carries over through the arenas and shit like that, like people fuck with that. And I just feel like you give that recognition to the women to where it's like y'all are like she's a Ring of Honor person, but like y'all are bringing her up to AEW to be for some of your best champions. Now, granted, she is losing, but y'all are putting eyes on the product. So y'all are saying she's the best in her division, down where she is. Okay, let me watch and see what she do against normal talent. Then, since I guess this the best in the world up here or whatever. Fuck all that. We get the agenda. Y'all are trying to push AEW talent by using Ring of Honor talent.
Which we talked about before. We hate that.
Like it's stupid. Like
It's
what's the point of
backwards.
bringing out like I don't think I've seen a single Ring of Honor champ like a Ring of Honor talent win for real unless we talk about Samoa Joe. And I don't even know if Joe signed with AEW and then went over to Ring of Honor.
Yeah, he signed to AEW, then went to do some work over in Ring of Honor.
Then see, it kills
And
that
that's what I'm
then.
saying. It doesn't make any sense. It's pretty stupid, but we won't divulge into that. All right, so my next pick. I'm kind of stuck up right now on NXT between Trick Williams and Roxanne Perez because, I mean, both are putting in beautiful work. But if I'm being real to my heart, the person I'm most excited to see over in NXT right now is Stephanie Vasquez. She hasn't made her TV debut yet, but her and Julia have done work before in Japan.
Mhm.
Stephanie Vasquez has been somebody I've been watching since she got pulled to NXT. She's been working like the live shows. She hasn't made her TV debut yet, but best believe that's gonna be a name you're gonna want to keep your eyes on because Shorty's huge and she's gonna be a menace.
You know, I seen that shit. I seen clips of it on Instagram. So like when Julia looked at the screen and she saw who the fuck it was, like her jaw dropped. Like she was like, "Ah, oh, hell nah."
Brother, I might have to save it longer after the show and show you Julia versus Stephanie because I mean they like I said that's why I love the Joshi scene. It's like you're gonna see genuine women going over there fighting their lives off, and that was one of those matches where they were just two powerhouses going at each other, refusing to quit. It was tough. That's definitely one of my favorite matches from overseas.
Hmm. Like, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. But shit, since you said NXT, I also pick NXT talent. And like, here's the thing. I'm gonna give it an honorable mention. Trick Williams. I could have put you on this list. I support you. I think you one of the up and coming. Like it's obviously like you're destined. Like you got pushed extremely well with this whoop that jerk shit. Like I expect to hear it at WrestleMania this year. I'm not gonna lie to
I would
you.
say I got a hot take. They should have drafted Trick when they drafted Mello. But I was gonna say, but I also understand why they did it because he hadn't had that title run at that point.
It ain't even about that. It's just like you could feel that if like once Carmelo left, if he would have went up there with Trick Williams, he would. I mean, yeah,
But I
if he
was
would
gonna
have.
say put
Yeah,
him on different brands. That was gonna be the thing.
his thing though. Then you remember how he left Carmelo, how Carmelo left him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Carmelo left him as the what if I'm an underdog? What if I'm really an underdog? What if I could beat Ilya Dragunov? What if I could be world champion? What if I could do that? And everybody was like, hold on. Strick Williams gonna go out there and you gonna go out there and try to beat him? Didn't he just lose? I promise you, while Vince McMahon was still sitting in that chair, if Carmelo Hayes would have went up there with Trick Williams, he would have been just a hype man.
Oh, they would have definitely just made him a hype man.
He would have been what Ludwig Kaiser is to Gunther right now.
I'm happy they broke off the other dude, Vinny. What was his name?
Giovanni Vinci.
I'm happy they broke him off, but I hope they do more with him going forward because they're just making a joke out of him so far.
Oh, nigga, did you not hear that? Hear that rumor
What?
about why he lost his debut match on SmackDown?
What they say?
I want to see if I can find it
Because I
online
was
too.
just saying, because yeah, I remember his debut match. It was like it literally got pinned in 3 seconds and it was over. Like bro wasn't even out his like just walking down the apron attire.
Okay, so hopefully this puts it up. All right, so I swear. It says there are some rumors that are the reason Giovanni Vinci current booking is a punishment after him repeatedly trying to flirt with Tiffany Stratton, which made Ludwig Kaiser angry, leading him to complain to WWE. So basically, it's being speculated that Giovanni Vinci was trying to get with Tiffany backstage a numerous amount of times. And that's why he's being punished as he is.
I mean, if we being honest, it kind of the shoe fits because they kind of just dropped him from Imperium just randomly. I'm just saying.
And Giovanni Vinci. he got his ass beat by who? Ludwig Kaiser. He got beat the fuck up
That's what I'm saying.
and got sent out on injury.
If the shoe fits, I'm not trying to put a bad rap on name, but if the shoe fits,
Hey, I ain't mad at it, but damn.
right? From AEW, from current talent, what's that one kid name? But he was working with Kenny Omega at one point. Cause I sent this to a buddy.
I thought you were talking about Sammy Guevara.
Nah, not Sammy Guevara. Konosuke Takashita.
Oh, New Japan.
Now he AEW.
Was he on New Japan?
He was New Japan.
Okay, that's how I
remember he was Kenny Omega's apprentice in New Japan. Then when he came over to AEW, betrayed him and joined the Don Cornelius family, whatever shit. Buddy, because I saw a clip earlier this week of, I guess him and Omega had a match at Revolution at some point, and oh my god, they absolutely had a banging ending to that match. Like, I kind of want to show you right now because it was like that, Jesse. Like, when I watched it, my jaw hit the ground. You know what, gang? I gotta show it to you. I gotta show it to you, bro. This was absolutely wild.
Damn.
It's amazing that Will Ospreay can stand right now. And Takeshita finds his feet. Ospreay stuck on him. Here it comes. And somehow Takeshita still half up. Ospreay, the arms double underhooked. The story now.
Takeshita, I said his last name wrong. I apologize.
Damn. W suplex.
Brother, when I saw that, I started looking more into. I started looking forward to it, and I'm like, oh, so he does this on like a regular. Brody Cooks. So definitely, we gotta keep an eye on him because I didn't realize he was like that. I didn't realize he was like that.
Oh, that was tough.
That was tough as hell. That was tough as hell.
That was tough. I ain't gonna hold you. But you know, for AEW, not gonna lie to you, I don't know. Because there's so many people. Like I was telling you before we started, I'm low key fucking with Hook.
Hook's a solid, like I said, Hook's a solid choice, bro. Like
I'm not saying give him the world championship right now. I'm not saying that. But like, now it's time for y'all to go put him in that TNT championship.
And that was just the title run I was just about to say. I'm like, it's time to give him that TNT title. Y'all just retired the FTW title. It's time to get him the TNT. It's time to put him in that ring.
Like, if y'all gonna put him in the All Atlantic Championship situation, like, whatever. If y'all gonna give a Rampage or a Collision, or like, y'all got 3 different brands now, and then y'all trying to get another one.
So they said they get the other brand. What was gonna phase out? Collision was gonna phase out. I think they said it would still just be 3 brands from what I've heard.
Okay.
It would still just be 3 brands. One of the brands would get phased out.
Okay. So I'm still gonna put it in this category if it was 4. If y'all made 4 flagship shows weekly, and then pay-per-view wise, y'all are gonna do that. If y'all are not gonna have every tag team, if y'all not gonna have every championship on the line at these pay-per-views, add 2 more belts. I'm not gonna lie to you. Add 2 more belts. Because there's no reason. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know who the fuck the TBS championship goes to. I don't even know who the TBS champion is. Can you guess it off the top of your head?
Nope.
Let's see who the TBS champion. From the AEW website. Mercedes Moné.
I kind of felt like it was Mercedes, but I also didn't know because she has like 2 other championships she's holding right now.
And it's not like, oh, I'm saying Mercedes Moné, like, oh, like, who cares? I'm not saying it in that situation, but what I'm saying is, why are they not pushing this? If she's supposed to be one of the biggest women's signings in the company's history, why are we not pushing the fact that she got this title?
Like I said, she has like another championship she has right now, and that is, I don't feel like they're doing enough with Sasha because, like, I get why they have Jamie Hayter going against Paige right now. You know, that was a whole thing. She took out Jamie 2 years ago, yada yada. I'm like, I want to see Jamie Hayter in a title run, and I feel like a Mercedes versus Jamie Hayter match could be really interesting. I feel like a Minwa versus Mercedes match could be interesting. They got the talent in that company to make the matches interesting, but they're only focusing on the women's championship rather than the TBS championship, which is why Mercedes has it and it just hasn't really done much with it.
You know, another thing I want to talk about, and this might seem like I'm kicking shade towards AEW,
Like I said, there ain't no biases on this podcast.
but I just got one question because I got the same shit for WWE. I got some opinions about the same thing I'm going to talk about. Championship run times. I'm just looking, and Ray John, we're going to talk about the company's history with the championship. With the TBS championship, the first title holder was Miss Jade Cargill. How many days do you think she held that title?
I know her title was over like 300 days. It was higher than that? How many days was it?
508 days.
I was going to say, I feel like it was 500.
508 days.
Well, that's also
the inaugural
because,
champion.
okay, I'll give them a bit of slack for that one. That was also because she was undefeated for that entire time.
True.
Remember, she didn't lose until she dropped that title. Then she immediately left the company and went to WWE.
Same thing with Asuka. Was the best in NXT. Got drafted up. Became a multi-time champion, but also multi-time dropper.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying now. Now, next champion, Chris Statlander. How many days do you think she held that title?
Triple digits? 235.
174.
174.
Not bad. Not bad for the second woman to ever hold the title. Now let's get to the third one. The third one is still technically a rookie, in my opinion, because she was part of that. She was part of that stable where Brian Pillman Jr.'s son, who now goes by Lexus King at NXT.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like I forgot what they called themselves. Varsity Blondes, I think it was called. I think it was called that. So anywho, she was like the cheerleader gimmick for them, and then she got with Malachi Black, which is Aleister Black,
Mm.
you know, and then Buddy Murphy. I'm sorry, Buddy Matthews. My fault. I don't want no smoke with you. Also, shout out to Rhea for liking
Hey,
our
shout out
post.
Rhea. We love you, Rhea.
You know, I ain't gonna beg you, but he might to get you to come on the show.
Rhea, we do need that cosign.
Like,
We need that cosign, Shorty. But
I'm
we'll
not gonna
divulge
beg.
into that later.
I'm not gonna beg you, but you know, my man's got you. My man's got you. He gonna beg you next week too. So, and we gonna keep posting it. We gonna keep posting it until you agree to come on.
We getting some wrestler to show up on this podcast before 2025. I don't care who it is. We getting some wrestler to pop up.
Mm-hmm. We gonna get somebody. Yeah, but now as we get on to it, she held the title for 155 days. 155 days as a rookie. I'm not saying she shouldn't have had 2 months with the belt, But 155 days.
And that's the weird part about title runs is because it's like you don't want to do the too short of title run and make the person seem like they're a filler champion, but you also don't want to have these 100+ title runs where it's like there's nothing memorable that happens in them. So I can agree that both companies are struggling in that aspect of like NXT is the only company only branch I could probably give credit to is that they make their title runs interesting and you're invested in each title run.
Very true. Until we get to Willow Nightmare. Willow Nightmare was already decorated in many other companies. Many other companies overseas in the United States, independent circuit. Ray John, do you know how long she held that championship?
Was she the first double digit? Nah, give me the number.
She held that title for 35 days.
Oh, that's sad.
35 days.
$35.
Willow Nightmare had the title for 35 days, being a decorated champion. Matter of fact, let's go to Mercedes Moné. Not saying I hate any of these women now. But let's get that clear. I don't hate any of these women. I'm not biased on their
The
reigns.
women aren't the ones doing the
They won
booking.
it. They won their titles. I'm great. I'm great on women's wrestling right now. It's in a good place. But Mercedes Moné is at 122 plus days right now. Willow Nightmare had a title. She had a title for a month and some change.
A month and 5 days. Or 4 days, depending on how many days are in that month.
It's the fact that she had 35 days with this championship, did not have a fairly good defense and all this other shit. She immediately just drops it to Mercedes Moné. So if y'all was gonna push Mercedes Moné, why even have Willow win this championship? Because here's the thing: before Sasha Banks got injured, she lost her title to Willow Nightmare. So what's the point of y'all? What's the point of y'all letting her come back and be like, you know what, this is my redemption story against you, and she immediately wins it?
I can't tell you.
I'm not saying Sasha Banks don't deserve a world title. She doesn't deserve to be, considered one of the great women of wrestling. But what I'm saying is, y'all gonna have to let us know what's happening. Is this the new generation of wrestling? Because Sasha Banks said this is where the best athletes are, and they had a okay match. Not match of the night, not match of the year, not match of the year for the women. Respectfully, it was an okay match. Not saying that these women don't put on great matches or anything, because Willow Nightmare versus Chris Statlander, that was a good ass match at what was it, All Out?
I think so.
Cause like that was a great match. So I don't want nobody to
Yeah,
get
yeah,
it
that was all
twisted.
out. Yeah.
Like they had a good Extreme
Damn,
Rules
that
match.
was a good ass match. I want to rewatch it. It was that good.
It was a good match. I wouldn't say match of the year, but that was a good match.
I would say for sure probably a top 5 contender for women's matches this year.
It was like it gave the women a little bit more of a push. Like
It kind of goes back to that argument of showing that like the women can take the same bumps that the men take.
Yeah, I was gonna
And that
say
how the women are always kind of seen as like being more fragile, but it's like no, these women are willing to do the same thing the men do. It's just that people would rather see a guy do it than see a woman do it. But it's like these women are like have done it and are willing to do it. I mean, like you said, we saw Chris Statlander literally take a pile of those lights to the head
I just think that if you put more eyes on the women's championships will matter just as much as the men's. And that goes for WWE, that goes for AEW. I don't really care. I'm not going to be biased on one brand because both brands had a problem. Cody Rhodes, WWE champion, mid run, respectfully. I was cool with the boyhood dream stuff, but now I'm ready to see something different. Am I getting a bad guy Cody, or are we riding this good guy thing all the way to the Royal Rumble and then we dump it off? That he's going bad guy. We going homeland of Cody Rhodes.
They definitely got to do something with Cody because it's stale.
It's gonna get stale quick.
It's already kind of getting stale.
Like now we're looking at right now, like after they done teaming, like can Roman get that belt back?
I think that's gonna have to be a question for the next podcast, but that's gonna be that's a serious question because it's like, do we give Roman back this title after bro just had it for 4 straight years?
Like
that's a really good question. I was kind of thinking the same things. Like, what do we do with Roman once the bloodline stuff is over? But like I said, that's gonna have to be a whole podcast episode in itself because that we're gonna have to deep dive this topic.
yeah, we're gonna talk about this.
Oh, so we're gonna have to deep dive that one.
Okay. So we got the Jeff Hardy and Jey Uso comparisons out the way. We got the up and coming people out the way. So we're gonna talk about dream matches / our bookings for WrestleMania 41. Now, Bray John, you came up with the topics for this week. So, what would you open WrestleMania with? What match would you open up WrestleMania with?
And see, that's kind of like the hard part. But if I had to personally choose a match to open it with, I feel like we can make Rhea and Liv have an opening match.
You would carry this feud out all the way to Mania?
And that's what I was gonna say. I'm like, but that's also the hard part we're at right now is because we're at that part where we're in the middle of so many feuds that we don't know what Royal Rumble looks like. We don't know where Elimination Chamber looks like leading into Mania because obviously we're not going to see Andrade versus Mello at Mania. We're not going to see LA Knight versus like a Mello for the US Championship at WrestleMania because they're already planting the seeds for this to go down a bit earlier. So it's like it's kind of like the weird part. But like I said, I would personally like to see those two get their WrestleMania moment.
For that to be an opener, I can understand it. I mean, Liv and Rhea got some good chemistry. But I'm not finna watch these two women be the only ones fighting for the Women's World Championship all year. If Rhea Ripley wins, cool. Liv Morgan needs to go away for a little bit. They'll not give her the rematch just automatically. Let that storyline build back up to where she just finally got the courage to go back for a rematch. A match that she fairly deserves because she beat the champion already. Somewhere they duck off and have a match just randomly, but Liv gets to win. She can come back later with ammunition of I beat the champion and I was never given a rematch for my championship. Hell, why not? Bianca Belair basically did it. I didn't fairly lose my championship, so her and Becky Lynch started beefing.
And she just started whooping Becky ass on a weekly basis, so she got that title match.
Like, if you're gonna push that off, cool.
And like I said, that's also like I said, it's like the weird part because it's like we're so far out from Mania that it's hard to see what matches we gonna see because it's not like going from WrestleMania 39 to 40 where it's like, well, we obviously know what's headlining night 2 is gonna be Cody versus Roman again. It's kind of hard to predict that, but like another match I would like to see, which I'm like 90% sure is gonna go down at Mania, is gonna be Seth versus Seth versus Punk. That we gotta give Punk his main event. Night one, give him the main event.
Do you throw Drew in there for some random
Fuck
ass
no.
reason?
No, you keep Drew far away from this shit, bro.
Damn, Drew McIntyre don't get nothing?
What's there to go? What's there to do after this blood feud Saturday? What left is there to do? Y'all didn't both beat each other fair 1-on-1 each time. This is the final beatdown because at this point we both don't got nothing to lose. So it's like, what would be the payoff if we did have Drew in that match?
True.
What's the payoff? We just gonna restart the Punk feud again?
Well, I'm not saying restart the Punk feud, but what I'm thinking of is if WWE is going to make Drew McIntyre basically the shortest world heavyweight champion in history. In history. In history. Hold on. Ooh, damn. We lost track. Hell, what was we talking about again?
Was it Mania matches?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was Mania matches, and what do we do with Drew McIntyre when Seth Rollins and Punk go at it?
Okay. So seeing what we doing right now with CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, like the only reason why I say this should be a WrestleMania type of match is because y'all teased it at WrestleMania 40. Y'all are teasing this long growing feud of both of these motherfuckers basically doing the same thing. They both left WWE. They both became world champions outside of WWE. They both came back to WWE. Now, CM Punk has yet to win the WWE Championship or the WWE World Heavyweight Championship yet.
Who said Seth or Punk?
Punk.
Okay.
Punk has not won those titles yet.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre has won both of them titles. Now, granted, he didn't win the World Heavyweight Championship for that long. He still has had both championships. So, what's the payout for CM Punk? After he does this match with Seth Rollins and after he does this match with Drew McIntyre, what are we doing with CM Punk next?
And that's really up to what I feel like Punk wants to do, because I've seen it always as we can give him a title run, we can put him in that title run picture, but he don't necessarily need it. The way I always saw Punk, this run going for Punk was him just being able to elevate talent and work with people he's always wanted to work with that are probably still part of the company. So, we'll eventually see Cody Rhodes versus Punk. We'll eventually see Roman Reigns versus Punk. We're obviously probably going to see John Cena versus Punk again during Cena's retirement tour. Like, I think it's just going to be a Punk doing a lot of trying to push over the next generation of talent while also getting in a lot of these matches that people have wanted to see for a long time.
Good points. So, I also now want to think about it. And, a match that I would low key actually be willing to see. I low key would like to see Damian Priest against somebody at WrestleMania.
I feel like Damian Priest deserves a Mania match.
He's had some good matches to the point where it's like,
if they play their cards right, they can probably have it be Damian versus Finn. If they play the cards right about keeping them away from each other. Which, I mean, so far they've kind of done a really good job of. But it's like, but how much longer can we keep that up? Like, how much longer is he going to pursue Dominic before he's like, all right, time to fuck up Finn for making me lose my title? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, they could theoretically make it stretch all the way out to Mania, but by then I feel like we'll be kind of thinning out that storyline so much just for a Mania slot.
I give you that. So, The match I would put in the middle of it, I feel like I put one of the women championships up. Like whichever one you want to put in the middle for night one, I feel like it doesn't disappoint if you put them in the middle of the matches.
Yeah, they should definitely be either. I feel like they should either be like dead middle of the card or the match before the main event.
Like they need to be somewhere where it's like it can be seen.
It's respectable, yeah.
Respectfully.
You know one match I wouldn't mind seeing at Mania next year because they're kind of building towards it a little bit.
What?
Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax.
I think Tiffany Stratton deserves much more.
Well, who else is going to be champion by then? Because you got to think about it. They probably going to have this title on Nia Jax for a grip.
No.
You don't think so?
Hell no. She didn't even have her first championship for that fucking long.
Well, also, in her first run, she wasn't over like she is with this run. Nia is actually getting a positive response for the first time I've seen her career.
Like boo, bad guy and shit like that. Like, yeah, cool.
No, I'm talking about like actually like people fucking with her work.
Really?
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying I don't fuck with Nia Jax's work. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just surprised because so many people before had this, oh, Nia Jax is unsafe. She broke Becky Lynch's nose.
But I was going to say, but you got to also think the criticism she was getting was very valid. One thing, and that was actually my fear when she first came back with this run is like, oh shit, she's going to go ahead and injure a bunch of these talents. But she hasn't done that so far. I've noticed she's tightened up her ring work. She's gotten a lot more safe when it comes to stuff like that because they're just fabricating the injuries now. Like when they were like, oh, she broke Rhea's rib. I genuinely thought she did break Rhea's rib just to find out like, no, that was just a work. Like, but it's a good work because it's like she already has this reputation of injuring a bunch of people. So you can have it work like, oh, she just injured this person where it's like, we just kind of want to give this person a little break. They suffering from some other injuries, kind of back them off a little bit. So, and that's kind of why I think they put the title on her because she is, for the first time, getting a positive reception from fans.
True. But can you honestly say right now, from SummerSlam to WrestleMania, you could see that woman holding that title? I'm not saying it's not possible.
Yes and no.
But we've seen a bunch of shit low-key fall when somebody holds the championship from SummerSlam to Mania. Becky Lynch, Seth Rollins. Now, why I say Seth Rollins, you remember that SummerSlam match he had against The Fiend, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, I mean Brock Lesnar. My fault. He had that match against Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and then the rematch at SummerSlam. And then he went on to have one of the worst matches of his career alongside Bray Wyatt. Rest in peace to Bray. But one of the worst matches I've ever seen.
And I'm not blaming none of the talent for that. That was fucking Vince McMahon's fault. That match sucked. Because who in their right mind said, that's having in a red cage with red lighting. And that's also have it end early when in a Hell in a Cell match, it's getting too violent. We've seen men get thrown off the top of the cage on multiple occasions.
Chokeslam through it.
Chokeslam through it. Through the cage. They've been their face has been rubbed against the cage's face.
A man's been speared through it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I'm not blaming Bray Wyatt or Seth for that because they did the best they could. That was Vince McMahon and creative's terrible booking decision to fault for that.
Perfect time to get into 5-minute wrestling rants. Just because we need to give Vince McMahon a little bit more of our attention right now, because as a wrestling fan base, I feel like Vince McMahon is like the legacy in WWE. As much as you want to push him away with right now, as much as you want to push him away, you can't do it.
You can't. And that was one thing me and Saab were talking about after we finished the documentary last night. Was like, as much as we want them to get rid of Vince, it can never realistically happen. That man was in that company for 40 years and changed the dynamic of the entire sports industry as a whole. So as much stuff has come out and as much stuff as we're probably going to see in the future from this case, they can never technically get rid of him. They can't.
You know what? I didn't even start the clock, but now let's start it. Because now I want to talk about what we talked about earlier. We talked about how Stone Cold Steve Austin said he didn't believe in CTE.
And that was actually one part I was going to say. So it was actually really dope. They actually brought in a former wrestler who turned into a neuroscientist in the documentary. So he was a Harvard graduate who went to WWE, wrestled for about a year, and got a really nasty concussion.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing he mentioned was how people kept calling him a wuss and oh, you just weren't built for wrestling and da da da. But he genuinely like wanted to look more into it. And with the permission of Chris Benoit's father, he was actually able to study Chris's brain and was able to see that Chris did indeed suffer from CTE. Under a microscope, you were able to clearly see that his brain was deteriorating from the amount of times his head was being, rocked and his brain kept hitting his skull. And one thing that Vince said was that they ended up working with the guy because it was a work. Whenever Chris jumped off and did the flying headbutt, he never hit his head. There was never contact. That's the work of it. And I'm like, there's only so much working you can do, especially with a move like that. There's only so much working you can do when you're literally suplexing somebody and they're landing on their neck and head.
Or them chair shots.
And that was one thing they mentioned was that, after the investigation with the Chris Benoit stuff is that, the chair shots got removed because they were directly linked with a lot of CTE cases. So, with Stone Cold saying that he didn't believe in CTE, it hurt as a wrestling fan because it's like this has been scientifically proven time and time again and has a lot of scientific backing proving that this is a real condition that people do suffer from in sports like, the NHL, NFL, wrestling, any of these very physical sports. You see this in a lot of their athletes.
Agreed. And now, we got like 2 minutes and some change left. I want to talk about us for a little bit. Now, let's put it on us. No Diddy. Had to get one out. But, we call this Four Ropes Full podcast. And it looked like it's just me and Brajan a lot. We do have our other member Chris. Now, we started the first 3 episodes without him, but it's because he's busy. He got some other things to take care of. He's been helping out behind the scenes just as much as he's been here giving ideas and his thoughts on certain things that we talk about. So, but later on, we will have an episode of me, Brajan, and Chris all interacting with each other. We're going to be doing Guess the Superstar in under a minute. Y'all will get that video probably Thursday, maybe. But you'll also get a live stream of Bad Blood with me, Chris, and Brajan as well. You'll also get that following podcast with us. We're now going to start being here as much as we can. I'm not saying there won't be episodes where it's just 2 of us or it's just 3 of us again and then one of us 1 week. Like, it could happen. But we are 4 ropes full and we'll always be there. So, we can't wait for that video with all 3 of us to drop. Y'all will see that soon. All right. Now, we got a few more seconds left, Brajan. close it out.
We just wanted to say thank you to all the manager support we have seen over the last 3 weeks since starting the podcast. It has been incredible. We have seen traction like never before. Never did we think this would take off in the time we have. So we just want to thank every single person who has subscribed, watched the short, checked out the channel, shown this to friends, anybody. We really appreciate the support. Like we said, we got Rhea Ripley's attention. So trajectory's looking good so far. You know, shout out Rhea, shout out WWE, shout out AEW. You know, we love all wrestling around here. We don't have no biases. We love all wrestlers. We're just gonna keep it opinion. We're just gonna state our opinions and how we feel about the business.
Hey, it's not us being too biased, but we're gonna end this one up. But just as a reminder, I'm Jess. That's Broke Boy Bray, and this has been an episode of Four Ropes Full Podcast. A new motto we made: have a seat on the mat. The boys have taken over the turnbuckles, and we want to do one thing. We want to thank you for wrestling. Peace.